for more on the profoundly intemperate response, the insane response by the press to what happened yesterday. We're joined by Joe Concha, who writes about media for The Hill. Joe, this was, you know, even if you were like Comey's brother-in-law and loved the guy, I don't think you'd say some of the things we've watched on television over the last 24 hours. Like, it's full-blown meltdown.
The worst we've ever seen, Tucker, in terms of our politicians, in terms of hypocrisy. The worst we've seen for our media in terms of hyperbole. Hypocrisy is easy, right? You could point to any Democrat. They went to full John Kerry, where they were for Jim Comey being fired before they were against it. So that's horrible, and that's in plain sight, and we can see that. But from a media perspective, again, it's the media that cries wolf. They've cried every day since June of 2015 when Trump went down that escalator, and every day is a crisis, or in this case, a constitutional crisis. But here's something that I don't see anybody doing in terms of reporting what the American people think of this firing. Harvard University and Harris provided a poll exclusively to The Hill, my publication, in March and April, talking about favorability of Jim Comey. What do you think of Jim Comey in terms of favorability, unfavorability? 17% favorability in March, 18% in April. When you ask Democrats that same question, it becomes 12%. So let's add it all up, Tucker. You have a deputy attorney general just appointed 2 weeks ago, 94-6 votes, so he's not seen as a partisan, recommending that Comey be gone. You have politicians on both sides of the aisle recommending that Comey be gone. And you have, most importantly, because we heard media members saying, we're not going to talk to each other anymore, we're going to talk more and listen more to the American people, saying that Jim Comey's not doing a good job. And yet, as you say, we're at DEFCON 1 in terms of hysterical reaction, but people sitting at home are probably saying, yeah, I kind of agree with this happening. Yeah, or I'm totally confused. Why are the people on my TV set hyperventilating? I mean, I guess if you take 3 steps back, one of the problems here is if you have a perch on television, your job is to have some perspective. I don't know, to kind of, you know what I mean? See this in the big picture and not jump to immediate conclusions that may be wrong. To be sort of an adult. I don't see any adults out there across the landscape of cable television, except maybe ones I work with. Yes, Tucker, I used to think that Anderson Cooper was an adult. And you could go Google me right now, Joe Concha Anderson Cooper, and you will see almost every column I've ever written about him has been a positive review of something that he's done. And yesterday, he reads a letter that Trump wrote to Comey and calls Trump a 5th grader. He then proceeds to act like a 5th grader to, as you can see here on your screen, to Kellyanne Conway, rolling his eyes repeatedly at her answers. Let's put it this way, all right, because he's an anchor, remember. He's not a host. He's not a shock jock. He is an anchor. He's the face of CNN. Let's say Bret Baier had interviewed a senior female administration official in Valerie Jarrett a year ago and continually rolled his eyes in a condescending, disdainful fashion. What do you think the reaction would be? It would be
want to think about
the apocalypse, right? I mean, that's the only movie that I can see here. So, yeah, that was the most disappointing to me because I thought Anderson Cooper was above that kind of behavior. And instead of criticism from the media, you have like CBS Market Watch saying that that was the eye roll heard around the world. Excuse me, hey, you can't hear an eye roll, you see it, and you shouldn't be applauding it. You should be saying, as you say, let's raise the discourse a little bit and stop the eye rolls, please. Exactly.
This is what happens when you work in a newsroom where every single person has exactly the same political views and there's no air in the room and you think that your stupid opinions represent the country. They're destroying themselves.
Polling said otherwise. So one more point, Tucker, if we have a second. Everybody talks about the timing of the firing as well. But no one ever offers when a good time would have been to fire Jim Comey. We know Hillary Clinton probably would have done it day 1. But if Donald Trump does, then that's retribution for not offering an indictment to Loretta Lynch when the email scandal happened. If he does it in March, that's when Comey announced that there was an investigation. We can't do it then. So he does it now. When's a good time? No one can seem to answer that question.
I'm going to ask that in a minute when we talk to a member of Congress. Joe, thanks for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you, Tucker.